now?
I don't know. It's up to you.
I think.
You can go for another round.
Yeah.
Maybe we're running out for questions.
I think we need to just do that, and then you get me another one of them. I'm enjoying these questions. They're good.
Thank you. When you wrote a song for Josh and decided to put it on your current record, were you aware of the fact of bringing the topic of suicide to people's attention?
I suppose so, although I don't really think about songwriting and album making in those terms. I mean, talking about it slightly more broadly, there's something I find slightly annoying is, people ask me, or either people asking me or other bands talking about, using music to highlight this or to achieve that or to do that. And to me, that makes me angry because I don't view music as a means to an end. And it kind of annoys me when people use music to do something non-musical. Fuck you. Music is perfect and brilliant and everything it needs to be and self-contained. And, I don't write songs in order to make people think about this, that and the other. It's for them to be songs. I suppose it's a song about suicide and people are then going to think about it. But I guess it didn't really, it's not really kind of the way I kind of structure my thoughts about music. I've been pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly, doesn't sound quite right, but I've been pleasantly surprised by the reaction to the song in the sense that a lot of people have contacted me about it and said that the song has been meaningful for them either in coping with the loss of someone they knew, or I've actually had a fair few emails from people saying that it's kind of changed their own thinking about their own actions and the ramifications of their actions, which is a really fantastic thing, actually, to hear. And I mean, it's certainly something that I've thought about in my time, is that, I couldn't, any of that sort of line of reasoning for me falls down thinking about my sisters and my mum and stuff like that, and it's difficult to talk about, but yeah, I mean, it's been good. It's been excellent, and we're putting out a 7-inch of the song, cool. Which is going to be raising money for suicide prevention charities and that kind of thing. That's coming soon. Do you know anything about that, Tree? No. I can't remember what's happening with that. I okayed some artwork for it the other day, which implies that it's happening. Yeah, it's been a good thing to get out there. I mean, I think the best part about it is the support I've had from Josh's family, who've been really. Obviously, I ran the song past them before recording it, before playing it, and Cara, his sister's been really, really wonderful. So, nice one, Cara.
So
cool. All right.
If you go for another round or not?
Yeah, let's do another round. Fuck it. So we're starting. Okay.
You could start there.
No, it's starting there. Fuck it. Starting positive. Oh no, rabbit. Okay. I'm still worried you're going to make me like tap dance or something. Decide quickly. Heineken or Beck's? Beck's. Given that I've kind of just quit drinking for, not permanently probably, but for a time, gin or vodka? Neither. Gin makes me cry and vodka makes me fight. And neither of those are things anyone wants to see. Dog or cat? Dog. Pasta or pizza? Pasta. Mittens or gloves? Gloves, obviously. It's got to be. There we go. Okay. Cool. I'd like to say, I'm convinced one of these is going to be kind of like, stand on your head or like take your clothes off or something. So
maybe you will never find out.
2. Positive.
Okay. Are one of the following songs going to see the light of the day on a CD rather than a digital format only? Mm-hmm. Those are Leaves of All Young Caroline, Old Flames, Little Aphrodite, and Cleopatra in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, Old Flames is kind of like, that'll probably be on a compilation of some kind at some point. Or vinyl or whatever. The other 3 are songs that have been finished that didn't make the cut for this record. I mean, people always sort of, I think, read rather too much into that decision. It's not because I hate the songs or whatever. It didn't kind of make sense. Thematically, I'm really, this time around, I feel very strongly that I want to kind of completely clear the decks before I do anything new creatively. Mm-hmm. So they will be, we're talking about doing an EP.
Okay, cool.
At some point soon, which will have those songs and maybe some other ones on as well. It's just, I feel like this isn't quite the question you asked, but fuck it. I feel quite strongly that like Positive Songs is kind of like sort of the end of a phase in a way for me, and like whatever I do creatively next needs to be quite radically different. What that will be, I have no idea.
We'll see.
But I mean, I feel like it's the 6th album in a certain vein, plus 2 more years of touring it. And I think at the end of that, I want to kind of reinvent to a degree. So.
Okay.
But we'll see. 4 again. Ta-da! And now I go to this one, right?
Yes, exactly.
Random
question. Were there other working titles or options instead of positive songs for negative people?
That's a good question. My brain's quite kind of Stalinist, in that, not in any political sense, Jesus Christ, but just in the sense of it kind of like it wipes out. My two fans are laughing at me for saying stupid bullshit. Or well in, should we say. It's sort of, I have a tendency to kind of erase bits from the past that might have been. I don't know, I don't think so. I did have the title for this record from a long time ago.
Okay.
I can tell you, there were some alternative titles for other records. I very nearly called England Keep My Bones Salvation Army. In fact, I wanted to call it Salvation Army, but then I got told that the Salvation Army are extremely litigious and would have sued me, which seems rather unquestioned to me somehow. But anyway, there was that, and then I very nearly called Love Iron Song Folk Songs, or Folk Music, I think I was going to call it, but that seemed rather kind of contrived at a point.
Bit boring.
Yeah, and then Love Iron Song is a phrase that I wrote a kind of, I don't think I've ever mentioned this in an interview before. Here we go, fact. I wrote a satirical short story when I was about 17, taking the piss out of Lenin, whose slogan was "Peace, Bread and Land." And it struck me that this was an extremely unimaginative series of revolutionary demands, and that one should actually ask for Love Iron Song. And the story was kind of, it was about his mum, kind of, and it was a line of "Peace, Bread and Land" over Vladimir, and sort of telling him that he needed to kind of broaden his horizons a bit. I now, of course, have grown up and realised that Lenin was an appalling murderer, so not somebody to perhaps treat lightly. But yeah, that's where that title came from. I'm trying to think of what other possible titles. No, it took me forever to think of a title for Tape Deck Heart. That fucking hell.
Okay.
We were at the point of nearly just calling it self-titled at one point because I couldn't think of a fucking title for it. But I like Tape Deck Heart. That's good. Anyway, right, there we go. 2. Negative.
Yes. In your book, you tell everyone about the struggles of tour life in the early days. Do you sometimes miss the craziness of these days?
Yeah, I do, very much so. Although I think I have to remind myself as well that it's easy to be rose-tinted when looking backwards. You know, I think that parts of it were fun, but it was fun because I was kind of driven by a sense that things would improve at some point. Do you know what I mean? Which, incidentally, is kind of mad looking back because there was absolutely no guarantee that was going to happen. But I don't know, and plus, I mean, the other thing is that there are things you can do when you're 25 that you can't do when you're 33. Yep. You know, just in terms of places you can sleep and amounts of alcohol and drugs that you can consume without wanting to kill yourself. So I don't know. It's really facile. It's really easy for me to say, yeah, I'd love to go back to just doing like house shows, man, forever. But it's not. Well, it's not quite like that. Plus, I mean, the other thing as well is that I was having quite a long conversation last night with a friend of mine about this. You know, I've done everything I can in my life and my career to not have ideas above my station, not have airs and graces, not be kind of like, not have my head turned by the bullshit trappings of what I do for a living. But you know, at the same time, the fact of the matter is that like if I go out after a show now, there's a lot of people who want to say hi and take photos and autographs and that kind of thing. And it's not like that when you're doing the early days house shows thing. It's much more on a level. And I always try and sort of give people what they want, I suppose is kind of a weird way of putting it. But there are days when that stuff really unnerves me and makes me feel kind of weird. And it takes a certain degree of kind of effort and composure to kind of get through that stuff and maintain a sense of yourself. And I think that if I was right now to go and do a series of house shows, the kind of tenor of them would probably be very different from how they were 10 years ago. Anyway. 3. Negative again.
How come there has been a re-release of Millions Dead Harmony No Harmony on vinyl this August?
Because it's the 10-year anniversary of that record, and we reissued Song to Ruin as a kind of deluxe edition with some extra stuff on it. And it's, I don't know, people like some people like vinyl. I mean, it's a funny thing because Million Dead were more successful in England than anywhere else, or Britain, I should say. And people in Britain don't really buy vinyl that much. There's so many American and German bands I know who tour England. They arrive with this box of vinyl, and then they get to the end of the tour and they've got most of a box of vinyl left because many less people buy vinyl in the UK. But We did it, and it's cool. People seem to like it. I love it. I think it looks and feels great. And I guess it now, everyone's like, no, you've got to do something to ruin on vinyl. So I guess we'll see. I mean, it's not really up to me at the end of the day. I mean, it's, you know, if we can do it without losing money, then I guess we will. But yeah, I think it came out well. It's kind of, I have very strong and mixed feelings about Harmony and Harmony. I think it's, in places, it's one of the best things I've ever done. And in places it's not. And plus, I mean, and of course it's a collective effort. When I say best things I've ever done, I'm talking about the lyrics. Like, musically it's a collective. Anyway, continuing, 4. No! I mean, to go back.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, more negative.
What was the most ridiculous rumor you ever heard about yourself?
Oh, there are so very many.
Pick one.
There was a moment in time when a bunch of people seemed to be convinced I was a born-again Christian. That was obviously before Glory Hallelujah hit the world.
Oh, really?
Somebody somewhere decided that Journey of the Magi was a Christian song, which seems a little odd to me, given that it mentions the line, no king but a child and a virgin defiled, which seems rather un-Christian somehow. But I don't know, that was weird. But I mean, I don't know, that's another sort of facet. I've had to kind of like slightly tighten up my social life in the last few years because I hang out in Camden. That's my social stomping ground. It always has been. And there are people who I don't know very well who I've run into in bars who then want to tell their friends to me. And then if they then discover that I kind of can't pick them out of the police lineup, then want to tell everyone that I'm a prick. And you know, the whole thing gets pretty fucking boring after a while. So you hear some weird shit about yourself. And then almost, if I do meet somebody socially who I'm trying to make friends with, or I mean, to be blunt, if I'm on a date, quite often an opening line will be, please don't believe everything you've fucking read on the internet because it's mostly bullshit. Anyway, 1, 2, 3. Another negative, a white negative question. What
yeah, I was running out.
Oh, okay, right.
It's simple as that. When and in what situation was your hardest moment of self-doubt, whether being a musician for a living was the right decision?
About once a week. And I'm not really kidding with that. I mean, in recent times, the hardest thing has just been there was a real battle with the new album to get it the way I wanted it to. I was very uncertain about quite a lot of tape deck art, and a lot of decisions were kind of made on the fly. Just stuff like there were way too many songs for that record, and I kind of couldn't quite picture it in my head until quite late on, which I think was a bad thing. This new record, Positive Songs, I've known exactly what this record wanted to be like, sound like, look like, and feel like since a long time ago. And it took me quite a long time to kind of win that fight. There were various people at the label side of things who were not, I don't want to say they weren't convinced, because that's not quite fair. They just sort of couldn't quite picture what I was picturing. And there was a moment, specifically about a year ago, when I was having a lot of very fraught conversations with people at the label about producer choices and recording methodology and that kind of thing. And there was a moment when I was like really, really just like, I don't want to fucking do this. But I mean, I'm pleased to say, and thankfully and appropriately, kind of the songs are the thing that kind of encouraged me to keep going. I have this thing whenever I finish a record, I relax momentarily because I feel like it's okay if I now get hit by a bus. Because all of the songs in my head are now out, and there's no kind of potential. Because that's the thing, if I have half a song in my head, I mean, in a way this is a vastly egocentric thing to say, but if I have half a song in my head, it's like, I don't want to die without this being realised in some way, you know? And then once it's done, it's like, cool, I'm empty. Doesn't matter, the vessel has been cleansed. Or some shit. So, yeah, it was pleasing to feel like the thing that kind of made me want to kind of continue the fight with the people who needed fighting with the new album was the fact that I thought the songs were worth it.
Okay.
So, 4. No! Look, I'm going to do 5 and fucking go to that.
Okay.
In fact, no, let's do 3 and do a positive one, because we've done those negative ones. I cheated. There we go, it's on camera.
It's a long one.
Okay.
On your forum, you wrote you were planning on changing the set list around a bit more on the upcoming tour. Do you reckon that number of people that do multiple shows is increasing, or is it more in order to avoid the band getting bored?
I suspect, I don't know whether or not it's increasing. I know we're doing multiple night stands in quite a few cities on this tour. That's kind of a thing we're doing this time around, which I'm quite excited about, incidentally. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's part to keep me in the band from getting bored. I mean, I've got a lot of songs these days. I don't know though. There's a lot of people in this world who want to have opinions about my setlist choices, and there's a lot of people who seem to think that writing a setlist is an easy thing to do, and I wish to tell those people they're wrong, because it's not. There's so many considerations that go into a setlist. Stuff like, I mean, the basic stuff. You want to start strong, you want to finish strong, you want to tell a story, you want to kind of, if you're going to get intense, or if you're going to get very, very low and down and quiet, you've got to kind of lead into it now again. You can't really it doesn't work to do a super fast song and then a finger pick song and then a super fast song. It fucks with the energy flow of the set. I mean, that's the main thing that you're doing, is you're guiding energy through a room. You know, you want to leave people feeling kind of tired and happy, I guess. You know, it's like you're telling a story. That's part of it. But then you've also got the thing of like, you know, I always think about like like the National. I love the National. I only know through their records well. When I go and see them live, I'm quite often frustrated they don't play any songs off one of the records, or that, you know, it's clumped up. So I try and make sure there's something off at least every era. I try and do every record. That doesn't always work out. And then, you know, I try and have a section where I play obscure stuff, to kind of like for the sort of super diehard people who come to those shows. But then it's like, you know, I don't want to play two songs of the same record back to back unless you're doing it deliberately for effect. Then, of course, you've got the whole business of whether or not I'm playing electric guitar on one song, whether or not I'm using a capo, moving capos around sort of breaks the flow, whether or not Ben's got to change his capo. I mean, and you know, what key songs are in. You want to run two songs in the same key together. Sometimes that works, sometimes it makes it sound boring. There's a million different things to think about. And within all of these considerations, we do quite often have the same structure for a set list on a tour. Or at least for a period of time. And the reason that we do that is that there are good set lists and bad set lists. And I'm not just going to write down a list of random songs in a row and play that. And like, I don't know, I know that there are some people who kind of get frustrated. Well, this is the other thing, is that like if I'm standing in front of 2,000 people and there's 3 people who came to the show last night, I don't really want to play a bad set list just in order to entertain them and thereby fuck up everybody else this evening. I appreciate the fact that people come to more than one show, and I want to not completely repeat myself. But there's a balance to be struck there. Do you know what I mean? So I think about all of this shit endlessly. The idea that I had for this current touring schedule was to try and write 3 set lists and have them kind of current at any one time. I do get a little bit kind of like bunkered down in a set list sometimes. I do know that I sometimes kind of go, this is the only possible way we can open a show right now, and then suddenly one of the souls will just finally convince me to try changing it around, and then I do, and then I go, oh yeah, that totally works. So we'll see. But as you can tell, I spend too much time thinking about this shit. Fuck. I'm doing that again. Rabbit. Okay, awesome. There we go. Action. Draw my favourite animal.
Yes. Great.
God damn it, I can't draw.
This is why I picked it.
Okay, I've got a Sharpie in my pocket, I'll use that. I got this. We had quite a long conversation last night about what animal I would be if I was an animal. And there were some suggestions that were better than others, should we say. We were discussing, what would we do? Spider was one of them? Fuck that, I'm not a spider. I was going for fox. And then, for reasons that we'll come to, badger we got onto, mole, which was considerably less cool. Yeah, I'm gonna try and draw a fox, but I'm gonna do a bad. I can't draw. There's his teeth. He's looking sneaky.
It's pretty good so far.
It's about to go wrong. This is so bad. He looks like a cow. Fox sounds like that. This looks like a fucking raccoon now. Fuck. Hold on, he's got more legs than that, hasn't he? Yeah.
Awesome.
There we go. The thing is, okay, I have Fox and the Crow in my hands, partly because of the Aesop's Fable, and partly because of the Me Without You song, the Fox, the Crow and the Cookie, and partly because my grandfather's name was Fox. It's a family name on my mother's side of the family. And do you know about the fox in English folk mythology? The Reynard, Senna Reynard. Basically, there's lots of English folk songs feature Reynard, which is the French for fox, but it's French and English are kind of very closely linked. Yep. He's the kind of character, the sort of lead character of a lot of English folk music. And the interesting thing about him is that he's kind of like Odysseus in the sense that like he's not a typical hero. He's not kind of strong, and he's not necessarily particularly noble, but he's cunning. And I think it's kind of cool that he's kind of a hero for that. So he's got Reynard written on him now. There we go. That's his like racing colours. There we go. Hooray! Cool. Right. Don't be a one. Come on. 1, 2, 3. Right. Random question.
Let me see. How's your perfect off day at home being spent?
Well, that's like depends on the context of it. If it's an off day in like, so for example, I've got one day at home next week, which is my last day at home for Christmas pretty much. And when I say day at home, I mean I'm going to wake up in my own bed and go to sleep in my own bed because I'm getting back from Paris day 4 and flying to LA the next day. What I will probably do is sleep late, eat food in my pants, watch telly, have a bath and read a book, play my guitar for a bit, and then go to bed early. Maybe have a friend around for dinner, but try and not leave the house.
Okay.
But then if like, I don't want to do that every day of my life, do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I like history walking, it's my thing I do with my spare time, so I collect kind of London history guides and stuff, and yeah, specifically London history walking, so I might go for a wander around Islington or something, go and look at some old shit. We'll see. Something like that.
Alright.
5. Okay, one more negative question, and then I've won. I've won my freedom.
What is really annoying about your bandmates? As they're not here.
I know, but this is, I can see recording devices. No, okay, the thing is, like, the nature of tour is such that every single person on a touring party could spend a good few minutes telling you what's annoying about any other member of the touring party. And this is the way it is, and I guarantee you that everybody in the band can tell you a series of really annoying things that I do. That's just the way it is, but, I mean... Oh, God, I don't know. I'm trying to think if I can do this without stirring up a whole pile of shit. I mean, Tarrant's always checking his phone during sound check.
Or during interviews, I know.
Or during interviews, yeah. I don't know. I mean, Ben. What does Ben do? Ben forgot his passport the other day, which was funny. Although that was extremely unlike him. He's usually a very organised man, which is why we took the piss out of him quite as much as we did. Matt likes to drink. Matt, after Reading Festival, was a real sight to behold. He called me up the next day and said, I cannot remember leaving the festivals, and I'm sorry if I was a dick. And I was like, you weren't a dick at all, you were totally fine. And then Nige doesn't really do anything particularly. I mean, Nige kind of very sort of keeps himself to himself to a degree. He doesn't drink. I mean, I don't drink now either, so I'm on Team Nige now. But you know, he kind of like sort of he usually sort of goes to bed early, which isn't really annoying at all. So there we go. That was the most diplomatic way I could have possibly have answered that question. But no, like I say, everybody pisses everybody else off.
Sure.
This is and in a way, part of what tour is about is learning to deal with that, and you learn to not make something your problem unless it needs to be a problem.
All right, that's it.
And now I've won my freedom, so I can roll out of it.
You can run away.
Awesome. That was fun. I won. I mean, I was the only person playing, so, you know, it would have been kind of sad if I didn't win.
Sure.
But it was good. Thank you.
The worst case was like we were running out of one part of the questions. Like,
well, I could have potentially just kept doing this backwards and...
Yes, probably.
I mean, I nearly did. I cheated to get out of it.
You cheated. Damn it.
Frank Turner, cheat. There we go. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun. I'm going to see you on a boat later.
I think so, yes.
I'm going to go and have a shower. It's going to be amazing.